Reverend Briana Lee. I am an interfaith minister, Wiccan priest, and Reiki master. And this is the first talk I am giving. I'm going to be doing Friday nights at 9 p.m. Talking about witchcrafting. So we're talking about how to build your own spells and other concepts around witchcraft. So for September, the theme is how to build a framework to create your own spells and rituals. And part of what inspired me to start this series of talks is that I have a student who often sort of complains to me that whenever she goes to these chat rooms, these witchcraft chat rooms, to try and ask questions about stuff, people are always giving her a hard time. They're super mean, they give her nasty comments, and it makes her kind of intimidated to even ask questions about witchcraft. So I'm here to create a safe space for everyone to ask questions, to learn, as well as to build community. So I'm starting with magical theory, and that is the theme for the lives here for September. And tonight we are going to talk about starting with the fives. And the fives are the five elements. So we're talking earth, water, fire, air, and the divine. Okay? And before I get into that, let me talk a little bit about myself so you can know where I'm coming from and the type of witch that I am and kind of what the scope of my knowledge is. So first of all, I have been involved with the local pagan community here in the Twin Cities since 1996, since I was like 15. And I've been through many different teaching covens, and most recently I was involved with a Triskelion coven that gave me my second degree initiation. So I've been studying witchcraft for over 30 years. I am at a second degree for initiation into my tradition, but I do a lot of things under... But I do a lot of... We're still learning all the things around here, like my production I want to say assistant, but my production partner, right? Because she's a mastermind.
Severely, severe editor.
Hopefully soon I'll have like a StreamYard account where I can do some simulcast, but in the meantime we're experimenting with a couple of different laptops and cameras. Anyway, but way before I even got into Wicca and witchcraft, my family was very spiritual, very new age, so I started learning about things like psychic development, psychic ability, tarot reading, ancestors, past lives, creating your own reality, all of that kind of stuff from a very, very young age. So I've been developing my psychic abilities for my whole life. I've been developing my understanding of witchcraft as well as Wicca for the past 30 years. When I say that I'm a reverend, what I mean by that is I am a card-carrying member of the Universalist Church, so I kind of use the term reverend ironically. Like, I got that back in 2011 because that's when gay marriage became a thing, and I wanted to be a resource for people that wanted to get married that otherwise couldn't find a priest or someone else that would be accepting of their lifestyle. So, side note, I've had this certificate on my wall for, whatever, 14 years or something. And an ex of mine was like, why don't you use the title of Reverend? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's kind of a crackerjack. I mean, it's not hard to get in with the Universalists, right? And, but it is a legit ordination, so I started using it to experiment how I feel about it. And what I like about using it is there's a lot of people that come into witchcraft and come into the occult who are coming from a Christian background, and so they use a lot of that type of language, they have a lot of that type of understanding, and so it provides me with an approachable framework for many different types of people, regardless of where they're coming from in their spiritual journey. And also, when it comes to Wicca, because I have a priest level ordination, I like to think of myself as a priest in the sense that part of my mission, my goal, my sole purpose is to be here to support the development of other people on their spiritual journey, and really act as a resource for those hard spiritual questions that can be difficult to answer, particularly when we're dealing with the paranormal. What do you think of this llama? What do you think of the llama? We'll talk about the llama in a minute. The llama and my Carol dolls. Right? We'll get back to Carol in a minute. So, enough about me. Oh, wait, well, one more thing about me. I do have a website called animapraxis.com, and all of my spiritual services are there if you're looking for Reiki, if you're looking for spiritual counsel, if you're looking for paranormal investigation, if you're looking to do a spirit banishing or resolve a haunting or remove spirit attachments or break hexes and curses. I provide a full gamut of all of these spiritual services, which you can find at animapraxis.com. And last thing about me before we get into the meat of tonight's show is I just launched a Patreon channel called Witch Priest, and I'll be posting all of my stuff there, from the fun, silly content that we are posting on YouTube right now to different courses about psychic self-defense and non-denominational exorcism, and just about anything else I can think of, particularly as you guys interact with me and tell me what your needs are, what you're curious about. I would be able to answer those questions, and members would get exclusive access to that support and information. So, and then finally, I will come back to this in a minute, but we have some merch. This will be up on our Patreon channel shortly. If you haven't seen the Carol video yet,
I figured out how to share screen, so we'll be able to show it.
Okay.
If you want.
Okay, if you want to share screen over on YouTube, Facebook won't be able to see it yet.
Right. I'll play the Carol video.
Carol is like the epitome of that lady who she's the lonely cat lady that turns to summoning to ease her loneliness. And if you're tuning in on Facebook, you'll have to go check me out at Rev Briana Lee on YouTube. Over there, they can see the screen share, I think.
And here we go.
Here we go. I'm going to give it a try. And the poor people on Facebook, they're left out. They're feeling very left out right now. To see you, like, now that we're settled in, let's talk about. I think you could probably turn the sound off on that one. Because I can't show Facebook from here.
Let's see if it's showing up right.
All right. So over on YouTube, we are showing the Carol video where this little doll got its inspiration. Carol is our favorite older middle-aged lady that is lonely and needs some spiritual support. It's not sharing on the screen? Okay. All right. Again, this is our first live. Bear with us here. We're just kind of... I tried to catch him. So, if you made it this far into the live and you're still keeping on, let's begin. Let's dive in. So, I hear a lot of people wondering, like, how to do X, Y, or Z, and I want to give you guys some information to help you understand how you can craft your own rituals. Okay, it's not hard once you learn a few things, and we're going to cover that. But the first thing I want to say is that a lot of things in the occult are subjective. Okay, there's there's not a lot of hard facts, okay? And anybody that says that X, Y, or Z has to be done this way is full of themselves, okay? Let's all drink to that. There's a lot of people that work really hard to be taken seriously, and I respect that. But understand that when it comes to what is true, what is real, what is hard facts in witchcraft, there's very little actual facts unless we're talking about this was the mythology of the time, or this is a formula that people have used that has worked for most people who use it. There are people, I would call them traditionalists, that when they get into a particular modality or a particular tradition when it comes to Wicca or the occult, they are handed a particular formula to follow to do their rituals and their spell casting, and that way might be right for them and effective for them, and there might be aspects of that that you can find on the internet or other people talking about. But I say this to my student a lot, like when you ask me these questions or you ask anybody questions online about witchcraft, understand that it is the world of witchcraft according to that person. So this is witchcraft according to Briana, based on what I've read, what I've experienced, what I've done, what's worked, what hasn't, etc. No one is an absolute expert, and if anyone is marketing themselves at that, that's your first clue that they are shisty and you should not spend any money on them, all right? Speaking of money, we will be talking about the business of witchcraft coming up in October. But for now, I want you to understand that I am offering my own perspective based on my education and experience to provide you a framework to work with to build your own spells and rituals. And one of the reasons that this is very important at this time is that there are a lot of people who are realizing just how much is out there in like the New Age world and various occult practices that are actually appropriated from indigenous cultures or from the diaspora. And we need to be very mindful about where we get our ideas and our practices from. And if we're taking from another spiritual tradition, we need to make sure that we are honoring that tradition, and we're also seeking out authentic sources for that tradition before we try to incorporate that information into our practices, okay?